Morning, Joshua.
Morning, sir. How we doing?
Good,
Episode
mate.
number 2. Exciting times.
Number two, we've made it past the number one stage, so we're already on to pod two. There's got to be some longevity in that, surely.
Yeah, we've made it further than 90% of podcasts. So we've got an interesting topic today. Beauty is in the
Interesting to
eye of the
me.
beholder. Interesting to me as well. Let's rip it.
All right. We're going to talk about why most high-ticket sales training fails in 2025. Not to be all doom and gloom, and not to shit on anybody either. Well, maybe a little bit.
Maybe
But
just a smidge.
the reality is, a lot of it does. So why is that? You tell me from your perspective why you think that phenomenon exists, that most sales training is absolute garbaggio in 2025.
Oh, where to start? We'll start with this. It's very easy to say whatever the hell you like on social media. I can go and rent a car and pretend I earn £1 million a day tomorrow. I can also throw up posts very quickly and say that I'm a guru. That's one thing. Very easy just to make courses and sell people on dreams. I can think of 3 or 4 guys off the top of my head who have built their membership academies off of the back of renting Bali villas and selling a lifestyle. That's one element. A lot of people have just been taught very old school stuff that, because they've been out of the game for so long, they don't realise just how outdated and rubbish it is. I could probably think of a million different things. I think they're probably 2 of the biggest ones that comes to mind. It's just the state of it. It's just rubbish, if we want to summarise it. What do you think?
I think you bang on. I think it's either outdated techniques and it's people that. So here's an interesting thing, right? I did a live yesterday, and one of the questions that I kept getting asked was, "What do you think about this person? What do you think about this person? What do you think about this person?" And I must have sounded like the biggest knob on the planet because I was like, "I think they're shit. I think they're shit. I think they're shit." Right? And legitimate question. Why do you think that? And I've been in this space for a long time, coming on for 7 years, right? And I've taught at some of the biggest companies. I've been a sales trainer for the biggest companies in the industry. And I know pretty much everybody who's worth knowing, right? And that's not a flex. It's just something that happens when you spend a long time in a place, right? You get to know who's who. And they were giving me these names, never heard of these people before, right? Now, that doesn't mean anything, right? Sure, there could be people out there that teach great stuff that I've never heard of. But it's straight away for me, it's like, well, why do I not know these people? Anyway, I looked through a couple of their content and it became apparent that they've done very well on social media. They've grown big accounts, 100,000 followers on IG, some of them bigger than that. And when I went through the content, it was all a flex, right? It was, here's me in this car, here's me in this apartment, here's me carrying a Gucci handbag, here's me doing all of this stuff. And I'm like, okay, so for me, there was nothing on that person's profile that indicated they could actually do the job. It was all just selling lifestyle, selling the dream. Now, that does well on social media. You can grow a big social media account because you start getting followed by a lot of people that have that aspiration. Yeah, I want to drive fast cars. I want a Gucci handbag. I want to travel the world. But when somebody has absolutely nothing on their profile, indicating any manner of skill set, how do you handle this objection? What do you say when this comes up? Maybe a live role play call or a live reel call even. Do you know what I mean? Actually closing somebody, something like that, or actually role playing a close. I get massively skeptical. And on the person's profile in question, and I won't name names, but in one post, it was driving a brand new BMW. In another post, it was driving a brand new Porsche. In another post, it was driving a brand new Mercedes Benz, all in like very quick succession. And I'm like, so no, they never said I own these cars, right? So that's leaving it open to interpretation. But there's no way they own all those cars, right? There's just no way. Unless they're multi-millionaire. And, to be fair, that's unlikely. So you're selling the dream. Why don't you just be honest? Why don't you start the video with just rented this absolutely amazing M5? And I just think that would give you more credibility. But the problem is there are so many people that have aspirations of getting into the industry. They end up following these, I'm going to say it, grifters who have made the majority of their money from selling the dream, not from doing the actual thing that they're teaching you to sell, right? And somebody else asked me on that stream, they said, well, would you ever say that that's okay? And I was like, well, let me throw the question back to you. If you wanted to learn to play golf and you rocked up at the driving range and the geezer who was going to teach you said, do you know what, to be honest, I've never picked a club up in my life, never hit a ball once, but I know the theory. Would you trust that that person can help you play golf to any kind of level? Same with swimming. Imagine you rocked up at the swimming baths and the instructor's like, do you know what? I've read a lot of books on swimming, never set foot in a pool in my life. You'd be like, fuck off. You have no right to teach me anything if you've never actually done what you're going to teach me to do. And that's my take. So the problem is how do you determine, right? How do you determine who's a grifter from who's actually done the job? I'll throw that question back to you.
Well, I think a lot of people have listened to Alex Hormozy in reverse, because Alex Hormozy says, do epic shit and then share said epic shit that you have done. Now, what people tend to do, and to your point, is sell the supposed outcome of the epic shit they haven't done. Because like I said, it is very easy to, ball it up on social media. And we were talking about this morning, right? I'm going on holiday at the end of September. Me and my partner, we always rent villas whenever we go away. I am still very seriously considering doing a completely fake series talking about how easy it is to appear one way on social media. And for the next 30 days or 24 days until we go, basically make it look like a documentary of me being a remote closer leaving the UK because I've made all this money and I'm going to go and live the life abroad. And in episode 1, at the maybe 15-minute mark, I'm going to say, this is all complete rubbish, by the way. I'm doing this to prove a point, because will I get the views past minute 15 of episode 1? Probably not. I might put it out there to the world just as a fun little experiment. But seriously, what does it cost to rent a supercar for a week? Probably like couple of £1,000, something like that.
If you rent one for a day, it can cost you as little as like 60, 70 quid.
If you got it, if you got it for 2 days, you started shooting content at 5, 6 a.m. when the sun comes up. It is August, so the sun goes down at 8 p.m. You could probably get a couple of months worth of content off of the back of a 1 day, 2 day car rental shoot.
Easy.
Right? But yeah, you're absolutely right. You look at the amount of people that can actually demonstrate what they do. It's very easy to go online and share, here's me objection handling with a voice changer on, because I'm sat on my mate sat on Zoom with me, throwing me some objections. What I want to see is, okay, where's a 30 to 40 minute discovery, like shot over the shoulder, like proper non-scripted, this is genuine. You can't find that from 90% of the people.
Interestingly enough,
it's very easy to sell a dream.
It's to sell a dream. Isn't that exactly what we have inside of the academy? Is real sales calls from real people, from you, from me.
Yeah. And we do it to prove a point. It's that we don't just talk about what we do. We haven't just bought a course, taken 1 or 2 calls and thought, yeah, no, I don't like closing, so I'm going to inflate my scorecard and pretend that I've done it for so much time. We've got our Zoom recordings. We've got our Fathom recordings. I put up a video the other day. I'm moving more into consulting for businesses now, of an over-the-shot shoulder recording me coaching a rep live. Now, people could still argue, okay, that's just a friend of yours that you've sat there coaching. And, if you want the full 67-minute coaching call, I can send it to you. It's not just a 5-minute clipped up clip. There's a whole 67-minute thing on the back end. That's the sort of thing that you would trust.
Yeah.
Because I've got friends, but they wouldn't sit on, a couple of hours just to prove prove a point for a couple of social media posts. They
They
might
tell
do
you where to
5
go.
minutes. Yeah. But
So
yeah, that's what a lot of people do.
assume for a second that you're like, okay, I've heard about remote closing. I've heard about, you can make good money. How do you go about determining a guru from somebody who is not selling you the dream and is able to give you like, okay, there's going to be some good, there's going to be some bad, there's going to be some ugly. Don't think it's all going to be BMW M5s and Gucci handbags wall to wall, because can you make amazing cash? Yes, you absolutely can. But how would you advise that person to differentiate between the lifestyle selling grifter and somebody who can actually teach them the skill set of high ticket sales and help them get placed?
It's a conversation that I've had with a couple of the people that have come into our community recently. I mean, our community is what, $97 a month, and we do an onboarding with every single new person. That's, getting on a call with them, understanding where are you at. And some of them have come on and been like, yeah, so I can probably, do like 4 or 5 hours a day. And I'm like, okay, let's just think about that from a business owner perspective. You've got a business owner who's spent tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of pounds, taking their business from ideation to real thing to bums on seats, ad spend, all that sort of stuff. And you want to do 4 hours a day. Now contrast that with reps who are prepared to grind it out for 10, 12, 16 hours a day, absolute killers. As a business owner, who do you pick? And they're like, well, yeah, probably the guy that's there to grind it out. I'm like, okay, so where have you got the idea that you can do 4 or 5 hours a day and make 20, 30K a month? They can all point to the people that have given them this idea on social media. That's a pretty good starting point. If someone's content is them in Marbella, Bali, on a beach, in a villa, promoting you, get into high ticket sales, that's an immediate red flag. Yeah.
And
You don't see.
It frustrates me because those things are possible.
They are, but if that is what you have to rely on, rather than your skill set, your reputation, that's, pretty bottom of the barrel, right?
Yeah. It's just selling the lifestyle. It's selling the dream. It's not actually giving people any real world value. Like, here's how you do this. Here's how you handle this. Here's how you find an offer. Here's how you get introduced. Here's how you interview, whatever it may be. And I think that's your immediate red flag. If somebody's just selling the dream with no actual evidence, I think that's like straight away.
Yeah.
Big problem.
Well, I mean, one of the reasons that I was attracted to you in the non-sexual way, in the business sense of way, was that I found you on TikTok Live and someone asked about, do you offer training? And it wasn't then just a massive elevator pitch of, yes, I do, here's the details, get in, buy my thing, give me money. It was like, yeah, I do, so do other people. I can recommend you a few people because I might not be for you. Straight away, I was like, hang on, that's different. Because I'm used to watching like a 20-minute VSL selling me on why these particular people are the only person for me. They're the only person I should listen to. And you were just very, casual. I watched a lot of your content. Your results speak for themselves. The sort of content that you put out. You're not sat there on a beach. You're there doing real life sales calls, coaching real teams, showing real results. That for me, you could put the best VSL in the world and I could sit behind a 2-hour webinar of why this is going to change my life. If I don't believe in the person, I'm never going to subscribe, right?
The analogy I always use is, do McDonald's make the best hamburgers in the world?
Absolutely not.
Who is the
Well,
most
again,
successful burger chain in the world?
yeah, beauty is in
McDonald's.
the eye of the beholder. To some people, maybe McDonald's do.
But maybe. But the point, obviously, is they definitely don't have the best burgers.
They
I will
definitely
argue that with anybody. But they are the most successful burger chain. Why? Because of good marketing. And so I think what a lot of these people on social media have done is they've figured out social media. They figured out branding and marketing and, how to get a lot of eyeballs and get a lot of attention. So I would be more willing to accept their expertise if they taught people that. Like, you've obviously figured that out really well. So why don't you sell people that? Why don't you show them how to brand themselves on social media? Why don't you create a program doing what you've actually managed to do instead of just selling something that's trendy at the minute, which, you know, for us is the high ticket sales place.
Yeah. Again, I think they've interpreted Alex Hormozy wrong. I know he says to sell the destination, not the flight. In this instance, you kind of need to sell the flight.
I agree.
You need to sell what's included, what are the unique mechanisms, how does it all fit together to actually make it to the runway, make it down the runway and get in the air and get you to your destination, because that is what sales is. That's the process that you actually need and the understanding of how it works, why it works, not just, you know, clickbaity objection handling and BMWs and Porsches.
All looks nice on IG though, doesn't it?
It does. You know, we've discussed it before. It would be so easy if we were those sort of people, if we were that way inclined to just be able to do it. But unfortunately, we have something called standards and, you know, conviction and ethics and morals and however many different ways you want to find to say them words. Those are the sort of people we believe in. Now, unfortunately, that means for us as marketers around businesses that we have, generally it takes people like us longer, but that's because we're looking for 1 out of 100 people, not 99 out of 100, just to drive quick cash and traffic. We're looking for, do you believe, do you subscribe to the same morals and values that we do? Can we coach you? Can we work with you long term? Can you serve clients at a very high level? If you can't, if you don't, respectfully, here's Instagram. You're not going to find it hard to find other people.
And dude, I live in one of the most beautiful parts of the UK. I drive a really lovely car. I could do the traditional grift on Instagram if I wanted to, but that would not sit right with me. I would not sit right doing that, knowing that I'm bringing people in under what I would consider a false pretense, because there's no guarantees. There's no guarantees in life, right? Death and tax. Those are your two guarantees. And that when you die, they'll tax you more. 3 guarantees. But there's no guarantees, because this takes effort and it takes grit and it takes grind, and it's going to be a skill set that you're going to need to learn. Now, is it worth learning? Fuck yeah. But is it like, oh, I'm going to click my fingers and in 30 days from now, I'm going to be making 15, 20 grand a month? No, probably not.
Another red flag. If you are on the Facebook forums and they say, we're looking for people to sell our high ticket program, no experience needed, run 100 miles away. Absolute waste of time. Again, coming back to a business owner who has sat there for days, weeks, months, years, stressing about how to finally bring his business together. And then all of a sudden he's going to take on someone with absolutely no experience to be the face of his business, to be the reputation that a prospect might get on a call with someone with no experience, a week's worth of training, to then be introduced to this business they might have been following for weeks, months, years, finally ready to pull the trigger on. I'm sorry, it does not work like that. We both know closers who slog away every single day, who train to the highest level and still struggle in the industry because there are bad offers and, you know, bad companies out there. So if you honestly think that you can go through some certification closer program and in 30 days time you're living the lie,
it ain't going to happen. Well, what about the other side of that coin, right? We said that there were 2 main reasons that most high ticket sales training fails in 2025. One is the space is full of grifters,
charlatans. Yeah.
charlatans.
Yeah.
The other is what? Why doesn't most traditional sales training set somebody up for success in 2025?
Well, I'll give you my take. You've coached some of the biggest teams in the world and you can speak to this a lot more. It sort of comes back to point number 1. You can have a small modicum of success in something and call yourself whatever you want to. And you can set up trainings and methodologies and, you know, get people to subscribe to it. You know, It's like teaching, I don't know. The best way to describe it is it's crap. They just teach crap. I was trying to think of a polished way to do
Don't
that.
hold back.
But then just thinking about the amount of people that I have spoken to recently that have been through these programs, and you ask them to go through objection handling, yep, they can do that, no problem. They've memorized all the scripts. You ask them to go through an emotionally charged discovery process, pitch personalization based on the pain points, and they just haven't got a clue. I was trying to find a really polished analogy. I couldn't. I was just like, I'm from Essex, I'm going to give it sharp and direct. It's just crap. A lot of people don't understand what they do. The analogy I sort of came to in my head, it's like, a taxi driver can drive a car. Can he jump into a Formula One car and control it? No, probably not. It'd burn out before he even made it off the runway. It's a skill set that has to be studied, learned, dedicated a lot of time to.
I think it's fair to say that it's a skill set that's relatively unique to this industry. Because I came from other industries selling, I know you did. And when I got into the industry first time, I had a rapid shock. I was like, oh shit, those skill sets
Yeah.
do not transfer.
No, we were both in car sales, right? What's the golden rule of car sales? They've got to go on a test drive because that's the first time they visualize themselves owning the car. They sit in it, they feel the leather, they smell it. You take them out for a drive, you say, oh, go on, no one's around, put your foot down, and they feel the emotion. I sold kitchens for a period of time where I designed and sold kitchens, and there was a 3D headset that you put on, and you could walk around your new kitchen. You could open drawers, and it feels like your kitchen, right? Those are the sort of typical things of the industry I was in. Solar, to an extent, that transferred a little bit more, but face-to-face sales and high-ticket remote sales, they're two completely different things. You haven't got a car for someone to sit and feel. The car essentially is your words, your understanding of their pain points, their cost of desire, and your ability to paint pictures and pull that out of them.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're doing a test drive or you put in the 3D goggles on somebody and they're walking around the kitchen, they get to experience it before they purchase. There's no way to do that in high ticket sales. You've got to be good enough to paint the experience in a way where they can visualize it for themselves. And that takes, that's a skill set.
Yeah. I did a call review today for a guy who's been through Jeremy's NEPQ stuff, right? And his closing line was, okay, so do you want to do this? And I was like, just pause it. I was like, if you were going to, try that again, going through discovery, we've got a lot of identity out of this guy. He feels like he's a disappointment to his parents. His partner is not living up to expectations. How do you think you could word that a bit more strongly than just, okay, so do you want to do this?
Oh, can I take a guess?
Go on.
So do you feel like it's time that you step up to the plate and you eliminate that rejection from your folks and you actually become the person that you want to be? Are you ready for that?
Oh, so much better, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm just winging it, mate.
Well, we both know that, people don't buy a product. No one wants to get started with anything. No one wants to sign an agreement. No one wants to get onboarded. They want to not be the person that they are here today. Stressed, tired, pissed off, reactive, out of control, inadequate, whatever that looks like to that person. So he could have got that person over the line. Now, there were other things that needed fixing. This one line wasn't going to be the make or break, but it could have been the 80-20. It could have been the 50-50. Selling to his identity rather than, so do you want to do this? And now back to the original point, he is someone who's been through, $6,000 to $10,000 worth of training. And that was his closing line. We then came to open wallet. And he said to him, with the most skeptical expression on his face, that was it. The guy said, I need to go away and look at the money. Very skeptical. He was like, well, what do you mean? I was like, I think you wanted Jeremy's curious tone there, so we'll just switch that out. We then came to open wallet, And he went, so how much money you got? And I was just like, dude, come on. I was like, I know open wallet is more of a Cole Gordon thing, but if we're prescribing to that, at least do it the way that Cole does it. His first question is always, okay, over the next 30 days, what is coming in? We don't start with how much have you got here today. So what you're doing is just butchering different methodologies all into one and doing none of them very well.
Just duct
And they're
taping together.
yeah, and they're supposedly, even in our eyes, some of the good ones. But there are people that do come through them. This is also another thing, isn't it? It's, do people fully apply themselves to it? What's the pass mark? What's the criteria? Just that you've clicked through and you've watched the videos quickly and that's it, you're good to go. Anyway, that was my ramble. On to you, good sir, because you've coached the biggest teams. You know for the definite article what the answer is.
Here's what we know is that the marketplace has shifted exponentially in the last couple of years. And, if you listen to episode number 1, you'll know that we talk about the trust recession, right? And the trust recession exists because people have been grifted, they've bought scams, they've bought programs that overpromised and underdelivered. So gradually over the last few years, there's been this buildup of skepticism to the point where now you slap AI in on top of it. Nobody thinks anything's real anymore, right? So you cannot sell the same way that you used to 2 years ago. Now, you have to focus on things that build unbelievable amounts of trust in the person that you're speaking to. And typically the kinds of things that build trust will not be the words that you're using, but it will be the conviction and the clarity with which you use those words, which is why inside of High Ticket Sales Academy, we double down on how to build that internal voice, how to build that internal conviction. How do you get to a point where somebody on the other end of the Zoom call goes, I believe what you're saying? Because the biggest problem is that if everybody you spoke to 100% believed what you were telling them, you'd have a much higher close rate. You'd run into some logistical issues with people that genuinely can't afford it or whatever. Sure, that's fine. But for the people that could afford it and should do it, if you can just get them to the point where they're like, yeah, I believe what you're saying, then conviction is everything. And that comes down to, first and foremost, selling on an offer that you genuinely believe in. Sell something that you would sell to your mum or your dad or your gran, your sister or your brother or whatever. Sell something you believe in, because that's naturally going to give you infinitely more conviction than you would have if you're just, yeah, I mean, I'm selling them because I'll make some commission, but they probably won't get a result. Honestly, over time, that will eat you up. And it will affect your tonality and how you sell to a point where it will damage your close rate, for sure. So my number one tip to anybody is, first and foremost, anybody that comes to me and says, yeah, I'm at close rate struggling, first thing I ask them, what's the offer like? Well, yeah, it's a good offer. No. What's the fulfillment like? So for the people that you're selling, do they get good results? And if ever the answer is, meh, dude, find another offer. Get another offer, because you're never going to sell with the level of conviction required for you to be elite unless you sell something that you 100% believe in. That's my hot take.
Yeah, just to double down on that, just so there is no confusion. You can believe in health and fitness, right? So when we're talking about conviction, if you're a guy who goes to the gym and you're selling on a weight loss or bodybuilding offer, that in itself is not conviction. The most important thing, like Jeff said, is if the people on the back end do not get the results,
yep,
how can you believe in that? If you would not sell it to your family or friends, you do not have conviction in it. And that is so important. Again, we were talking to one of the members inside of our group who is interviewing for about 4 different roles. And she asked me, what do I think? And I said, well, it's completely irrelevant what I think. I haven't spoken to the people. I don't know what the back end looks like. The only criteria I've got to judge it by is the OTEs and what I can find for an Instagram page, which doesn't tell me anything. Who do you feel like you've had the best conversations with? Who do you feel like you could get on board with the most? Who do you feel like, notice the word feel, because sometimes it is a gut feeling, Yeah. Have they got good fulfillment? Like Jeff said, if those things are there, chances are you're going to do pretty well. I think we might have spoken about it on episode 1. Even if their OTE is 3 to 6,000, and you're comparing it comparing it to companies that have a 10 to 15,000, but you don't feel, you don't believe, you don't have conviction, chances are you'd make more money in the 3 to 6,000 OTE than you would the 10 to 15.
100%, because that 10 to 15 is based on perfect results, perfect criteria. And if you don't believe in what you're selling, you are never going to get anywhere close to perfect criteria. Let's end it there.
Right.
I think that's
Well,
probably
hang
good
on.
for episode 2.
No. Let's throw a caveat in there. There are a lot of bad ones out there. Obviously, we offer our own. We have our own thing. Just to prove that we're not biased, if you were in the industry, let's say that they've gone to the garage and they want to get their 3 quotes to compare us against. We're one. From your opinion, if people were going to go and look elsewhere, who would you actually trust in the industry?
Cole has a great sales training program, but I would say it is very advanced. Probably not the best place to start if you're new. I think Bill is great at what he does. So
Bill being, just in case people don't know.
Bill Walsh. Bill's great at what he does. Like, obviously a more expensive price point than us. And we've done that for a reason, is because I said this to somebody the other day, slightly off topic, but the reason why we only charge what we charge is, number one, most people coming into the industry don't have a spare, 6, 10, 15,000 sitting under a mattress somewhere. So we wanted to make it more accessible for more people. Number two, I don't want somebody blowing 5, 10, 15 grand just to find out that they don't like it. Right? Whereas if you spend, a Starbucks every other day and you go, yeah, this is not really for me, what have you lost? You've lost the price of a Starbucks every other day. But Cole's good. Bill's good.
We'll end it there. That's an important point that I will make. If you are new to the world of buying online courses, it's not like a car. We used cars earlier, where you do have a period where you can take it back. You might lose out on some admin fees. If you finance, there might be some losses there. But the chances are, if you bought a 15 grand car, you'll get, 13 and a half, 14, maybe 14 and a half of it back. If you took it back a couple of days later, if they let you. If you buy an online program, make sure you are fully invested and you want that program, because the second that access even hits your email, by the time you have logged in and created a password, you have consumed someone's intellectual property and there is no comeback from that. So if you've spent 6, 10, 15,000 pounds on a course, even if you have not even opened, or let's say you've opened one video, you have technically started that course, there is no recourse. Good luck with it. Just make sure.
Top tip right there. Top tip. Josh, if people want to find you on social media, where can they find you?
So they can find me at Closer Josh, where we are very much I am very much the opposite of most people. I do not chase virality. I chase giving people the information they actually need to succeed. So if you come and find me and see that I've got less than 100 followers and think this guy isn't worth listening to, that's the exact reason why I would listen to me, and most people like that. Because they're quite often the people that give the good advice. They don't just chase clicks and shares and say. So that's me, Closer Josh, across most stuff, I think.
Very good.
Maybe Josh closes deals on TikTok because Closer Josh wasn't available. But there we go. What about you, Jeff?
On IG, it's Business Coach Jeff. On TikTok, I can't even remember what it is, but if you just type my full name in, Jeff Ketterer, you'll find me. Be aware of like blagged accounts. There's like some spam accounts and stuff. So hang on, let me find the actual doodah.
If you search anything sales, remote closing in the search term, Jeff's normally towards the top of it somewhere.
You'll find me. Yeah, you'll find me. And also, if people want to look at the school group and the High Ticket Sales Academy, then you can just go to school and type in psychological sales and you'll find it there. I'll also leave a link in the show notes, and if anybody's got any questions, you can reach out to me or Josh.
There we
I'll
go.
see you next
See
time.
you in episode 3.
Look forward to it.